All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army episode 2.207, and we got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start with headlines where we got the Glazers, Mane versus Sane, and Hakimi. Weekly what if, daddy issues, Premier League, Arsenal's woes only overshadowed by essentially the rest of London. Rest of world, we got MLS Minute back, Champions League review and preview, and of course the US Mexico game coming up, which we can discuss whether anybody actually cares about. Stoppage time, we got Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. And then this week, stay tuned for a very fun and I dare I say illuminating chat with two people affiliated with Dorking Wanderers FC, which, in addition to having an awesome name and awesome jersey as well, which I'm wearing right now, you'll have to go on youtube.com/Sam's Army to check it out. In addition to all that, this club is competing in the National League of England, which is the fifth tier, the top non-league division. They're playing against world famous Wrexham, and believe it or not, they may have an even more fairy tale story than Wrexham. So I sat down with Mark White, who was basically Mr. Everything for the club, coach, manager, owner, chairman, everything, along with Kyle Shestak, who's an American, and along with his dad, decided just this winter that he wanted to invest in an English club. So he cold emailed a whole bunch of clubs, and well, I don't know about a whole bunch, but he cold emailed Dorking Wanderers, and Mark responded, and so Kyle became a director of this Dorking Wanderers FC club in England. And just the whole story of how it got started in 1999 as basically a pub league team. And it's shot up, skyrocketed up the English pyramid. It's just an awesome, awesome story. So check that out at the end of this episode. And also keep an eye out for Dorking Wanderers going forward. Now, finally, it is time to welcome in my distinguished panel of beauties who have been waiting oh so patiently. First, we got the one and only Tweedle on this week's podcast with the intestinal fortitude to show his face after yet another Arsenal collapse. So, for everybody, give a little extra respect and love to Tommy McGunner this week for showing up. But your question, Tommy, and we need one word for this, by the way, as is customary. Describe your thoughts on Arsenal's title hopes.
Strong.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to start it. I like it. Next up, Tyler Terrans, fresh off calling St. Louis City's beatdown of FC Cincinnati. Best and worst things about the Lou.
Um, Best thing was the game, the atmosphere and the stadium and the whole thing, despite a close to 2 hour weather delay or more than 2 hour weather delay. Worst thing was the weather delay. That was about it. I had a fantastic time. We went to a Cards game the night before. We had a good time.
Nice. Okay, you got a good St. Louis experience there.
Oh
Last
yeah.
but never least, except in the 2 mile run, since he's a proud GKU member, Alex Bono of DC United is back. And as always, it is great to see you. Beautiful stash you got there. Your question, as sort of a newish DC resident, yes or no, are the cherry blossoms overrated?
Yes. I know that was two words. I said first, but I do think so. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I hear a lot about them. It's mostly online. You see some pretty pictures. That doesn't really do it for me.
They're not even really pink. Like they're like white with a pink hue to them. And there's like 80,000 people in one weekend just walking around looking at trees. And I did partake, as it is my first year. It will be my last time partaking in cherry blossom weekend because I found out that there are like cherry blossoms situated all around the city in different parts of Virginia. And so now I know that, like, why would I go somewhere with 100,000 people when I can just like walk down the street and see four of them and take my yearly picture and be done with it.
Yeah, get your Instagram filter in the pink, and
That's it.
there you go. Okay. I'm glad that somebody, some boots on the ground now. I have confirmation that of what I always assumed.
Big J stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, headlines time. So first, you got to talk about the word on the street here with the Glazers and Manchester United. So, fans of United have obviously been dancing in the streets metaphorically for weeks, if not months at this point. They've been soliciting offers from people to buy the club. There's been at least two very serious bidders involved. Well, the latest from ESPN is that the Glazers now prefer not to sell. They're willing to accept an investment, but they want to remain owners of the club. So we'll see what happens here. Bones, let's start with you though. So what's your what's your thoughts on this?
I know we're going to talk a bit about Boehly as well, but I think the owning a sports team has to be like the coolest ownership of anything in the world. You get to go to the events, you put down the money, you run it how you want to run it. And so I know I personally would have a hard time selling. But if you put, a price tag with 9 zeros in front of my face, maybe I'd have a little bit easier of a time doing that. But I don't know. I don't get the whole thing with, fans don't like owners because of on-field performance. And, like when you're the Glazers and you've put up the money, you've let the people who run the club spend it how they want to, and you haven't really put any restrictions on it. It's hard for me to say, yeah, let's look at the ownership and that needs to change. So I'm not for owner hatred unless it's because of a certain reason, something that actually affects the club. And for me in this instance, I'm not sure that's the case. So they can sell it, they can keep it. For me, it makes no difference.
I'll be devil's advocate here and respond to one part of that, which is that they put up the money to buy the club. They didn't really put up much money. They basically took a shit ton of debt on and have been taking money out of the club, which is the one thing that I can understand where United fans come from when
Sure.
they get real mad about the Glazers. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We don't have any inside information. We don't know what they're actually doing. It is funny though. It's just kind of like the Washington Commanders situation where until he actually sells Dan Snyder, like he's still the man, he's still the owner. And it's the same thing with the Glazers. I don't think they're selling until it's actually gone through.
Fair. That is an ownership group that should definitely sell because I think that we're on two different ends of the ownership spectrum here with Snyder and the Glazers. So but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Fair enough. Anything else on this? We move on. We're moving on. Sadio Mane is who's up next. So he allegedly punched teammate Leroy Sane in the mouth in the locker room after Bayern got their asses handed them by Man City last week in the Champions League. So, we saw Sane come out at the weekend. He had a fat lip. Sadio Mane had been suspended for the game. I don't know how long that is lasting, but Tyler, this one's for you as a longtime, admirer of Mr. Sadio Mane. What was your sort of reaction to all this?
Probably deserved it.
Fair enough. The thing
Sadio seems like the kind of guy you're only getting hit in the face by him if you deserve it. And I think we know that Leroy has had some issues in the past with off-field behavior and being a team guy with the German national team. And let's just not forget that Sadio also had to deal with years of Mo Salah at his best, which meant Mo Salah at his greediest. So he has a long-standing history of being frustrated with people not passing him the ball when he should rightfully be passed the ball because of how hard he works and he just puts himself in good spots. So yeah, fucking knock somebody out. What's a big deal? Got the better of him.
This is like the peak of Sadio Mane apologism right here. Like you've taken to the new level, which I respect and I appreciate. And if it was somebody who I had loved and had been on my club for years and years and years and had won me a bunch of trophies.
It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, it has nothing to do with that. Nothing
to do with that. No, Sadio just seems like a good dude.
Okay.
Left Liverpool in a super amicable way. Like he is a good dude.
Okay.
Leroy
okay. Follow up thoughts on the fact that Tuchel apparently wants to get rid of him. You want it back?
Tuchel can't have. Yeah, I want him back.
Okay. Listen, he's still obviously incredible, but he's no spring chicken.
I'd take him back in a heartbeat, and the Leeds result does not change any of that for me. I'm not judging Liverpool based on the result against Leeds.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll get to that in a little bit. Lastly, Achraf Hakimi is back in the headlines, at least on Twitter. So the PSG and Morocco player is in the middle of a divorce stemming from the incident in which he's accused of sexual assault by a 24-year-old woman who is not his wife. Twitter went absolutely wild when sort of this rumor leaked out that Hakimi has reportedly been basically funneling all his assets and putting them all into his mom's name. And this, you remember Hakimi for the World Cup, where he sort of embraced his mom. It was like a really cool story and everything. He's allegedly been like just all his assets have been in his mom's name for like a long time now. And so she owns all of his assets. Then the implication, at least on Twitter, is that his soon-to-be ex-wife, Hakimi's soon-to-be ex-wife, isn't going to get any money from him out of the divorce. So, first of all, I'm not a lawyer or an accountant, but number one, that seems a little suspect on how things work. I don't know how the French system works, but number two, it's not as suspect as the response on Twitter and I think on Instagram as well, just social media, of the people who are just like completely dick riding Hakimi over this, move. When let's keep it in context here. Number one, he cheated on his wife and he's, accused of sexual assault. Who knows, the veracity of that, but I don't know. It was just like Twitter at its absolute worst. I don't know. Did you guys even see this, or am I the only one that's like digging that deep into Twitter? Okay, Bones, what do you think? Or Tommy, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it can't be understated that what he's done to lead up to his divorce is wrong. He could be facing actual,
he's under investigation, so
legal consequences. So,
right.
The cheating and the sexual misconduct obviously you can't condone that. And as far as the laws on funneling money through your mom are concerned, I also think that there was something like 80% of his earnings he funneled through his mom, and he kept 20%. So my thing is, even if she only gets 10%, I think she'll, that'll be a nice chunk of change. But yeah, I mean, it really is kind of a shit show, isn't it? When you look at it and you say, Twitter's having at it and saying he's like this king for, hiding all his money from this wife who's trying to take it all from him. Well, it would be one thing if that was the case and she was in the wrong, but in this case, he's very in the wrong, and it doesn't look good for him.
I agree. It's just one of those really weird situations. Okay, so last headline, and this is what I've been sitting on for I guess months at this point, but it is official that Sneaky Fox FC is coming out of stealth mode, and we will officially be playing in the $1 million TST 7-on-7 tournament this summer in North Carolina. I am extremely excited about it. This is sort of Mike McGee is the real sort of force behind this, hence the name, the Sneaky Fox FC. His vodka Sneaky Fox is sort of the the name child, if you will. And he knows everybody in the soccer world, and he's got some big names on the team: Nick Raimondo, Landon Donovan, Jay Demerit, Van Dam, excuse me, Alan Gordon, Drew Connor. I know I'm not listing everybody. There's a lot of people here, a lot of guys who are very good at soccer, and then me. So we'll see how that goes, but it's just going to be a lot of fun. Whether we win the thing, I don't know. We'll see. We're playing against teams like let's see, Borussia Dortmund, Necaxa, and Liga MX, Wolves. The U.S. Women's are going to have a team. What else? I can't even remember who. There's just so many good teams that it'll be really interesting. It's a 3-day tournament, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to force my fat ass to get in shape at least a little bit. whether I actually contribute or not, but we'll see. So hopefully you guys, follow along. Check out Sneaky Fox FC on all the Instagrams and socials, because it actually helps us to have engagement and following. And this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited, and we'll leave it at that. So Sneaky Fox FC. Let's go on to weekly what if. So this one, obviously nobody here, this is not taking a shot at any one of our fathers, right? We have very good relationships with our father, no problem. But in a hypothetical world where you had to pick a new father from the complement of Premier League managers, who is going to be your dad? Tommy, I feel like you got to go first here.
Well, I know who my grandfather is going to be. It's going to be Roy Hodgson. And then dad, I'm between Sean Dyche and Thomas Frank. I think Sean Dyche should be a hell of a dad. You could get away with going out for a night out pretty easily, and then he could inflict some serious fear into you the next day. I think that'd be a good father to have.
So you threw Thomas Frank in there. What was
Yeah,
that?
I think like like the whole Danish like love of life, carefree, like just would be like a very interesting guy to be your dad. Very like free spirit, let you find yourself, experiment with all different types of stuff, and then lead you into adulthood.
Okay, good answer. I like both your answers. Tyler, where are you going with this?
So I'm totally spot on with Tommy on Thomas Frank. So it's Jurgen 1, Thomas Frank 2. But Jurgen is for obvious reasons, so I don't even want to get into it.
Okay, fair enough. You like hugs. Bones, who you got?
I'm on Jurgen as well, but not for not just because I like Liverpool, but because he seems like the kind of guy where same thing, where in the tough moments where he needs to be a bit of a hard ass, he'll do it, but he'll also have a beer with you. He'll hang out with your friends. His friends, your friends will be like, let's hang out with your dad. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm down. My dad's cool. He just seems like the kind of guy that you just want to hang out with.
Okay, fair enough. My number one choice would be Mauricio Pochettino, but he's no longer in the Premier League, so I can't say him. I'll go along with Klopp. I think Klopp would be a cool dad. He seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. He'd probably be great for bouncing advice back and forth, all that stuff. He's great with hugs, so you won't feel unloved. So yeah, I'm down with Jurgen Klopp.
And the best news of all is that, like, if you do in fact do something wrong, then he's going to blame something ridiculous and he's going to make up a crazy excuse to come to your aid. So like, if I get in trouble with the vice principal and he knows that it's going to screw me even if I'm wrong, he'll back me up in the moment, and then he'll kick my ass in the dressing room.
Also, imagine like growing up and you have the talk, like Jurgen Klopp is giving you the talk,
Gang it.
That's a good one.
The only way we screw in this house is via getting press. But with consent, of course. Only if they want.
I like it. 3 Jurgen Klopps. That's actually
like if you guys are all Jurgen Klopp, like, so you don't have an issue with your dad being cooler than you and all your friends wanting to hang out with you because of your dad.
I would just assume that the genetics of it means that I'd be a lot cooler than I am right now.
Yes, agreed.
All right, let's head to Premier League. There were a fair amount of interesting results, but Tommy, I think we got to start with you here. So for the second week in a row, Arsenal went up 2-0. I texted somebody. I don't know if it was on this, one of us or somebody else, but like I was like, here we go again. Like I thought they were just like Liverpool. I thought they were going to run out and just absolutely dominate West Ham, and yet the Hammies came back from an 0-2 deficit to get the draw and cost Arsenal 2 points, vital points in the title race. And mathematically, I think for the first time in God knows how long, Arsenal no longer control their own destiny. So, Tommy, sort of,
So
yeah,
they
that's
still
not true,
control
right? They can if you beat Manchester City. Okay. So thoughts on this game and the fact it's 2 games in a row where you basically have coughed up 2-0 leads.
it. So my roommate is English and he has like Sky TV access. And for Monday Night Football today, they had Jamie Carragher and Ben Mee talk about this, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more when Gary Neville wasn't on it. But I listened, and I think the thing that I've heard a lot of people say is that like Arsenal's like bottling it, like they're getting nervous, they're choking, like all that, like. And I actually agreed with Carragher saying I don't think they're choking, they're getting too cocky and too complacent, and I think that's how they give up both of those goals. You have like a sloppy turnover that leads to a PK right before half. Same thing with the Liverpool game. You give up a random goal out of nowhere right before half when you're in complete control of the game. And I think that's less to do with them choking towards the end of the year and getting nervous, and more that like things were too good, things were going too well. They thought they were going to drop 4 or 5 in both of those games, I'm sure, and then they turn off, and then it's 2-1 right before half. And it's right after half, and it's not a good situation. And then the PK miss is just like a sucker punch.
Yeah, that was tough. So did it change your thoughts on sort of the next few months?
I think one of those results, no. Both of them back to back, yeah, without a doubt. I would say that it's less. I do think they can get a result at City. I think I'm more concerned about like those 4 fixtures in a row with Chelsea, City, Newcastle away, and Brighton, and especially the Newcastle game, or like one of Newcastle or Brighton towards the end of that 4 game stretch that catches them.
Okay. Interesting. Well, any unbiased thoughts here from Tyler or Bones? Go for it, Tyler.
They're in trouble.
So and would you have said that on
it's
Friday?
Coming. It's coming. I would not have said that.
So you've seen this movie before.
I've lived it. I've been the star in it. I've been an extra. I've written it.
City's
How
coming.
many times have you seen Step Brothers?
500.
Okay.
500 million.
That's how many times I've seen this Arsenal story just play out over and over again.
Well, it happened a bit last year too. Same thing.
Yeah, in a slightly like less high profile.
Closing out a Premier League season is no easy task.
Especially when you still have to play the team away that's chasing you.
And
That
with
is
this
an absolute powerhouse.
And with this city existing, not only do you need to be great, you need to be elite and in like serious Premier League company. I mean, Liverpool came in second on a year where they had 98 points, 97 points. You have to put up obscene numbers to beat this City team.
Yeah. I mean,
the thing is too is like the Prem's not one. City away is not like what's winning you the Prem. Like West Ham, taking care of those type of teams. Like if you slip against a team like in recent years, like in Everton almost, like if you slip against those teams, it makes it really hard. You can play as well as you want against the top 6 or however you want to label it. But if you slip against teams that you're expected to beat on a somewhat consistent basis or over and over again, then you're never going to accumulate enough points to win.
So I just checked City's record because I kind of agree with both of you guys. They've won 10 in a row, and they haven't lost in the Prem since Spurs the first week of February. At some point, I'm not saying that they lose, but they have to drop some points. You think
Tommy, they won 17 in a row.
Yeah, they would have to crush that record. They have to win like 22, 23 in a row.
Not in a row, because you guys are certainly not going to pick up maximum points throughout the rest of the way either.
Yeah, so would Arsenal.
So, but that's my point. Is I think Arsenal can tie and win both the Newcastle and City games and still win the league.
Okay.
If they still have other,
but
other games.
Yeah, there's still other games, but you're saying that there's also like 12 games left for City.
Yeah.
That they're going to win every single one of those games.
I
Which-
think that they
Who's more
they might
likely?
lose.
which they've done in the past few years. They've won their running, right? Like they've done that. That's why they beat Liverpool
I
4
I once had the same adorable naivete that you did, thinking that there's no way that they can rattle all those off.
No, I literally just said that they've done it 4 out of the last 5 years to
That's
Liverpool
what you're saying to me is that they surely are going to drop them.
because of the running that they've just had. I'm saying if they had dropped a couple of points in the past 3 or 4 games, that no, there's no chance that they would win the rest of their games.
Mm.
But the fact that they've been in such good run of form for like the last 2.5, 3.5 months, that's damn near impossible to keep up for the remaining 6 weeks.
Got it.
You know what makes me the most nervous about this, from a Tottenham fan perspective, whose only possible joy in life is watching Arsenal not win the title, is the fact that City is in such a good spot in Champions League right now, coming off that 3-0 win.
Yeah.
And, they just got to sort of see it out, which is never easy against Bayern, obviously. But if anybody can do it with one, sort of hand tied behind their back, it'd be Man City. But they're in such a good spot in Champions League now. And that Pep, if he had his choice, is going to win that, or put a little bit more emphasis on that and maybe hold players out of a meaningful, but not quite as meaningful Premier League game. So that scares me. Combine that with the fact that Arsenal, was sent packing from Europa, and you guys basically get to rest during midweek. That I'm kind of scared still. I'm still scared. I'm just gonna.
I think the Champions League actually helps them because they're doing so well.
You think so?
Yeah, they're flying right now. I don't think it would bother them all that much.
They're absolutely flying. They just beat Bayern Munich 3-0, and they are one of the deepest clubs in the world, obviously. But still, I still think that there's gonna be some loss of focus if they're gonna make it to the final of the Champions League and win it. Let's talk about the other London teams real quick. Let's start with Tottenham. So we stink. We're terrible. Absolutely dog shit. This club is, I think this might be the lowest, the most toxic anyway, that I've ever seen the Tottenham fan base right now, because the club is it's not the same club it was 10 years ago when our expectations were different. Our expectations now are that, okay, we got the stadium, we're going to spend money, we're going to not just sort of be competing for top 4, we should be shooting higher than that. We should try to win some actual trophies. We have these expectations that have grown over the past decade, and so while we're no worse off right now in 2023 than we were in 2013 and 2008 and all that, we're no worse now. We're probably a better club overall. Our expectations are higher, and with expectations comes that sort of that negativity when things don't go well. And this week, where first of all, we don't have a coach, we don't have a sporting director. Kane may or may not be leaving this summer. There's all these things sort of starting to pile up, and this situation where Stellini threw on Davinson Sanchez for like 20 minutes and then hooked him is just, and during that 20 minutes he was like booed vociferously by fans in the stadium. It's just so negative, and there's just so many bad things layering on top of each other, and sort of no clear path forward until we get a manager, at least. It stinks. And then that performance was dog shit, obviously. Like, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, that like Bournemouth, you got to give them a little credit. Like, they're not anywhere as near as bad as I thought they were going to be come this point in the season. But coughing up a lead to Bournemouth, like, God, we suck. We're terrible. And there's like, thank God that everybody's focusing on Chelsea. Like, the one thing that I love about Chelsea is that they're more of a clown show than us. But like, that's the only thing we got going for us. The fact that Chelsea is worse than us, and the fact that Arsenal may not win the title. Those are the two things. Like, there's no way we're finishing top 4. I would take Liverpool to finish top 4 over us at this point. I would take Brighton. I would take Villa. I would take Newcastle. We're not finishing top 4. It's a bad team. They're just not good. Like, I think Stellini finally may have seen the light and he may get away from this, 3 center back system that he's been sort of married to, just like Conte. But even then, we stink and we're not going to finish top 4. I don't have anything else to add about the Tottenham right now. We suck and I hate watching them.
I think you said enough already.
Good.
I agree. You guys stink.
We stink.
Yeah.
We absolutely stink.
But what are those expectations based on? Like, what leads over the last 10 years? What's like? Oh yeah, no, like
getting to the Champions League
title because we were in a tie. We finished third in a 2-team title race. Remember? And then we,
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that, Tommy? And then God, imagine if you somehow did that. That would be amazing. And then we got to the Champions League final. And just Pochettino just consistently overperformed, or at least he got the team to consistently overperform. And ever since he left, it's just been, from bad to worse. And like we keep getting these sort of Band-Aid type managers. Nuno accepted. That was just a pure mistake that I don't know where the fuck that came from. But Mourinho and Conte, they just feel like, Band-Aids that didn't do what we hoped they were going to do. And hopefully now, like, I would prefer us to bring in just somebody who's going to be here for a while and is willing to do, take on a project, because we're a freaking project. We are absolutely a project right now. We have money, but we're a project. Like I'm so sick of the players right now. Like I as human beings and as like people that like I watched the documentary, I kind of like almost all of them, at least the ones that I sort of saw a lot on the documentary, but almost all of them have got to go. They're not good enough. They're just not good enough. Like give Kane like an Mbappe like contract where he's just like the fucking owner and the sporting director and he gets like first right of refusal on every single thing the club does. Give him the keys of the castle, please God, because without him, we're just a shit team right now. He's the difference between us and Chelsea. Like he's the reason that we're in sort of whatever place we are in the table, and Chelsea's in, so we're still in 5th somehow, which is fucking just absolute unbelievable. Chelsea's in 11th. The only difference between them and us is Kane. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Give Kane the keys of the castle, and fast forward my life for the next year and a half, and hopefully something has happened. Any comments from the peanut gallery on Tottenham, or do we move on? Yes, thumbs up on your life being absolutely miserable. Okay, so it only if as bad as Tottenham is, somehow Chelsea's worse. So the not only did they lose this weekend yet again, albeit to Brighton, which is that's not a bad loss. But then Todd Boehly went into the locker room after the game and apparently just like called the team like an embarrassment or something like that. Bones says, actually Tommy or Bones could both do this since you guys are getting paid to play soccer. Have you had any like sort of experiences with owners or anybody in management coming down and offer you some post-game thoughts like this?
There were a couple years where we would only see like people in the front office post game if we won, and then we knew that if we lost or tied, then they wouldn't come down. Like, and then when we won, it's like, hey, how are you? How's the family? But never like a real ripping. No.
Okay, interesting. Tommy?
Yeah, I've had that.
Okay.
I've had both, but yeah, I've had that.
Was it could it be a positive? Or is this
no.
It's not good.
No.
I mean, just speaking on this from like Boehly's perspective, like he spent a shit ton of money and this team fucking sucks. So
yeah, but he's making things worse, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
By being so out there publicly and like these stories getting leaked, does not do him any good.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, like people. So I posted that thing about him before the Real Madrid game when he said, we're going to win 3-0. And like people on Instagram were asking me like, oh, what's he supposed to do? It's good that a coach or an owner is, being positive and confident. It's like, first of all, there's a way to be confident without basically, doing that and giving the opposition sort of bulletin board material and basically putting yourself, your neck, your nuts on the line the way he did. There's a way to do that. It's very easy. Just, say, you know what? I think we could win this game. Don't say 3. We're just going to Real Madrid and beat them 3-0. That's not the way to handle that. And I don't know. I don't know where this club goes from here. Like they're in just as much of a predicament, if not more, just based on the amount of money that's being spent as Tottenham. I don't know. Any thoughts from you, Tyler, other than the fact that Pulisic, needs to get the fuck out of Dodge?
Agreed. And no, it's just fun. I like watching Chelsea struggle.
I do too.
I don't like most Chelsea fans in my life. And by don't like them, I mean like they're just a little insufferable at times. And I know that I'm a Liverpool fan and I'm probably the worst, but like there's a couple of people in my life who are Chelsea fans that just tick me off and I love to see them squirm.
Right. Well, listen, self-awareness is important. So I can respect that. Yeah, they're just in a tough spot. They can't score, they can't win. They're about to get, they're about to get their asses handed to them by Real Madrid, I think, in the second leg. And then they really got nothing going. Like they're still in the Champions League, so they got that going for them. But oof. Other games. So quickly, Leeds, Liverpool. Oh man. Oh, Tyler, how's it feel to have like some red, white, and blue, blood on your hand?
No. You're right. I must say after the third goal, I was like, stop the fight. Let them be. Like, we don't need to keep doing this. It got to a point where it wasn't fun. Was it kind of fun to watch, Jota get a couple and, get back into his groove and the whole thing? Sure.
Donkey got one.
Diaz get on the field? Sure. But not to our people. Not like this.
Yeah, that was bad. So, I mean, that's in successive games they've lost. They being Leeds have lost 5-1 and 6-1. And this one was at home. That's tough. I mean, like, I don't even know. Can you keep Javi Gracia after this? I don't know if you can. 12-2 in 2 games. That second one is at home. I mean, there's mitigating circumstances, which is while watching this game, I sort of was like, wow, Liverpool, their ceiling is so much higher than most teams, including Tottenham. I mean, I was obviously looking at it from my perspective. It was like Tottenham could never do this. But so Leeds kind of had that going for them. They're playing against a team, and I think Klopp even said this was our best game of the season. But it takes 2 to tango. One of the reasons you had your best game was because Leeds shit the bed. So yeah, I don't know. Tao, you think Garcia can make it to the end of the season at this point?
I don't know what sacking another manager is going to do. Like, there's a point where it's like too late.
Yeah, I think we're past that. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. Leeds is in a world of hurt. I will point out the Tyler Adams. Ever since his injury, their defensive record has been even like because we always talked about how Leeds hemorrhaged goals, and they did. They gave up a lot of goals, but I looked up the stats and like from Boxing Day where they did give up 3 goals to Man City. Which listen, City can throw 3 up on Bayern Munich, so they can giving 3 up is not the end of the world. Since Boxing Day, Leeds had not given up more than 2 goals in a game through March 11th, and then that's when Tyler Adams went down. And since then, they've given up 4, they've given up 5, they've given up 6, and they've averaged 3.6 goals against per game. So, a lot of people, I was seeing a lot of people taking what felt like gratuitous shots at Tyler Adams on Twitter, which I feel like somebody's gonna gotta stand up to some of that bullshit. So I figured I'd throw out that stat. Quickly though, anybody think that Leeds survives this season? It's a no from Bones.
It's a miracle if they do.
A no from
Absolutely, like
Tyler.
one of the bigger miracles.
They've got
I
Tommy. What do you think?
I don't know.
You're not saying no.
Yeah, I'm
So you're
not
saying there's a chance.
saying there's a chance. I don't know how big, but
They're still not in the relegation zone.
Forest might be better than them at this point with no Tyler Adams.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Leicester definitely isn't. Leicester definitely isn't. Leicester struggles with the same shit. Different shit, but same shit.
And Southampton is down there too. So
Southampton.
They don't count. They don't count as a real club.
Yeah, they're done. They're done.
Okay. Well, the thing about Leeds is the next 3 games is going to dictate, their season and probably their future. So they go to Fulham on Saturday. The Tuesday after that, they play Leicester at home, and then they go to Bournemouth. Those 3 games in a row, I mean, that's basically going to dictate whether they go down or not. So
What's the one after Fulham?
So
or what's
Fulham,
the one? After their fourth one.
So it's Fulham away, Leicester at home, Bournemouth away, then Man City away, Newcastle at home, West Ham away, and then Tottenham. So there's at least 3 points to end the season for them. But like before then, yeah, that's tough. That is a tough road to hoe. So the next 3 games is basically Leeds season/future. So something to watch. The only other result I wanted to talk about quickly, or at least just mention, is Aston Villa. Like these guys, Unai Emery has just revolutionized this club. And they are good. Like they're legitimately good. They're now in 6th place on 50 points, which is ahead of Brighton, ahead of Liverpool, ahead of Brentford, ahead of Fulham. They obviously have a couple games in hand on Brighton and one on Liverpool, but man, I would take them to finish over Tottenham this season in a heartbeat. That's not even joking around. Anything else for the weekend? All right, I think we're going to skip power rankings and then quickly look for the week ahead or the weekend ahead. Any games stand out as being especially interesting? I mean, you would normally say Newcastle hosting Tottenham, would be an interesting one on Sunday, but that feels like a shit kicking coming. And then Brighton hosting City would have been big, but I think that's postponed. Is it FA Cup this weekend? Maybe I think that might be why it's postponed.
Sure.
Right.
So yeah. So and the other game that would have been interesting is Manchester United hosting Chelsea, but that's been postponed as well. So an unfortunate couple things there. Yeah. So this weekend is the FA Cup semifinals. Brighton hosting United and Manchester City hosting Sheffield United. That Brighton United game ought to be pretty interesting on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to rest of the world. We know where we start first. Mr. MLS Hit It and Quit It Minute Man himself. Are you ready to take the mic and wind us through the weekend that was, Mr. Tyler Terrence?
Wind something. All right.
Pound it out. Let's go.
Enough. All right. Here we go. If we're going to do this thing, we're going to have to start north of the border. That Toronto team, we always know that they can score goals, especially when they got Insigne, Bernardeschi in the lineup, but they have trouble keeping them out. 2-2 is the final score against the Five Stripes and Atlanta United. Montreal at home against Alex Bono's DC United, and DC comes away with a huge win to stop the bleeding after quite some time, but we won't go there because he's right in front of me. NYCFC at home against Nashville in their emphatic return to Citi Field. 2-1 win over Gary Smith's side. Nashville had only conceded 2 goals up until that point this entire season. They give up 2 on the night under the bright lights of New York City, and Nick Cushing's side come away with a win. Columbus and New England, bit of controversy here. The goal was scored, I believe, in like the 8th minute of stoppage time, but there was only 5 minutes added on. Obviously, some things can happen, but It is the Columbus Crew who end up getting the late goal in the 98th minute from Sean Zawatsky. And I just backed out of my Google thing, so I'm having trouble getting back on track. But here we go. Charlotte at home against the Colorado Rapids, two teams towards the bottom of the table in the West and the East, respectively. 2-2 is the final score. Red Bulls at home against the Dynamo Houston got out to a 1-0 lead. Benny Olsen, of course, formerly DC United, has been doing a great job with the Dynamo, but Red Bulls score one to equalize things up and get a draw at home in Harrison. Chicago and the Philadelphia Union. Chicago go up 2 goals. Sound familiar? They squander a 2-goal lead in the second half for what, I don't know, the 1700th time over the past 5 years. And 2-2 is the final score from Soldier Field. Minnesota United at home against Orlando City, probably the strongest 11 that Oscar Pereira has been able to put out since all the injuries and Champions League hangover and the whole thing. Orlando City 2-1 result on the road against Adrian Heath's Minnesota, who have been struggling as of late. FC Dallas at home against Real Salt Lake, take care of business 2-1. They'll travel to NYCFC this upcoming weekend. Austin and Vancouver play to a 0-0 draw. Probably would have bet the over on that game regardless of what it was. And then Portland and Seattle, everyone's second favorite rivalry behind El Trafico. We'll get there in a second. But Portland, after going down 1-0, Dairon Asprilla, with probably the goal of the season so far in 2023, ignites a 4-goal unanswered comeback, and Portland takes it at home by a score of 4-1. San Jose demolish a just absolutely battered and bruised Sporting Kansas City side by a score of 3-0. Jeremy Abobasi, coming off of the racism issues with Dante Van Zier the previous week, able to come away with a brace. Nice little story there. And San Jose come away with a 3-0 win. And St. Louis City and FC Cincinnati, arguably the game of the week, not because I was on the call, but just because facts are facts. St. Louis 2 in the West, Cincinnati were atop the Supporter Shield standings coming into the night. A 2.5-hour weather delay and hail the size of oversized golf balls prevented kickoff, and then St. Louis City would score the first, they'd score the second, and then they'd score eventually a fifth before Cincinnati would have any sort of say on the night. City Park was rocking even despite the weather delay. 5-1 win. Jared Stroud was able to put on a magnificent performance along with Eduard Leuven. Nico Gioacchini got a goal. 5-1 is the final score over Pat Noonan's group, who were missing Brenner because he potentially could be doing something with Udinese, as reported by Tom Bogert. And then also missing Lucho Acosta, who's one of the best playmakers in the league. So don't take too much out of it, but still a great result for St. Louis. Cincinnati had only given up 4 goals all season coming into that. And then El Trafico would round out just a wild week of Major League Soccer. LA Galaxy at home against LAFC. Quick fun fact, which I don't think a lot of people knew, LAFC has never won a game at Dignity Health, but they finally are able to correct that. They came out probably the better team, and then there was some back and forth. Tyler Boyd with a strike from distance. Thought the goalkeeper maybe should have done better with it, but LAFC come away with the 3-2 win. Alex Bono can critique me on my goalkeeper union. Harsh judgment there, but that would do it for week number 8 in Major League Soccer.
I mean, that was well done. First of all, nicely done. I liked the single game on Sunday. I wish there was maybe 2 games on Sunday and maybe more stacked on Saturday. That's a different conversation for a different time. I actually had enjoyed the El Trafico game immensely. But question for you guys: you mentioned sort of which rivalry is the biggest. Bones, to start with you. Between the El Trafico and Seattle Portland, which rivalry for you is the best?
For me, I'm a little bit biased. And down south of the border, we don't really care much about this rivalry, but it is Toronto Montreal. There is the most hatred. There is some of the stuff that I've seen in stands of these games rivals, some of those lower league Eastern European, some
places that we're afraid to go.
Places where you don't want to watch a game. But I do think that is the most vicious, ferocious rivalry in the league. I have not been to a game in the Pacific Northwest where I've been intimidated to play, where fans have berated you and really given you a hard time. It's like the nice rivalry, 2 teams that just, that's a rivalry solely based on location and distance. For me, it's Toronto Montreal. It's the one that has the most hatred, and the one for me that produces in the past some really good games.
Okay,
you didn't answer the question. What do you like more, Seattle, Portland, or El Trafico?
It was a fair answer, though.
I didn't know that there was only 2 options. This is not even a multiple choice test.
I made it 2 answers. I made it 2 for kind of for a reason. Number one, I knew that if you're a Canadian, you're going to say that, or a guy that's basically a Canadian.
There's a couple that I think are bigger than Seattle, Portland. Like
Right.
it's not in the top 3 in my list.
Really? So you say like Red Bulls NYFC or NYCFC, or like which other ones are you putting up there?
I think that one's like still a little bit too new.
Yeah.
But like I think that Cincinnati and Columbus is going to be an incredible rivalry over the next decade. I think that one's
It
going to
will
be.
be. It will be. But that's in the future though.
Like there's a lot of Red Bull DC history hatred that goes on. I think as Miami starts to get their feet, the Miami Orlando one is going to be really great. And then you've got 3 Texas teams where, you know, I guess you can say that 2 of them aren't really hot at the same time ever.
Yeah.
But that would make for some, you know, some good games too. But
that's fair. There's potential there for a lot of good rivalries. I mean, St. Louis and Kansas City, maybe St. Louis, Cincinnati.
If you watched a Portland Seattle game with the sound off, like just based on the gameplay, you'd never be like, oh, and you knew nothing about MLS, you'd never be like, wow, this must be a really heated rivalry game.
Okay. Interesting. Especially from like, I feel like fans have a different perspective just based on history and based on all that stuff. But yeah, I'm glad we got an alternative perspective on that. Tommy?
So to answer your question, I'll take LAFC.
Okay. All right. He did answer the question. Well done. Tommy, what are your thoughts?
On what best rivalry?
Yeah.
Right now, I think most entertaining is LAFC.
Yeah.
I don't think you can argue much with that. One that's like, I think a little bit older than LAFC that has been some quality games would be Portland Galaxy. I feel like every time they've played lately, it's like a 4-2, 4-1 kind of thing. That would be my outside of the box one that's not like a traditional rivalry, but Columbus Cincinnati one was fun. And I think that one, now that they both have new stadiums that are soccer specific, is only going to get better.
Yeah. Tyler, who are you going with in this one?
Entertainment wise, it has to be LAFC, LA Galaxy. And I think that the history and the sort of like cultural aspect of the Pacific Northwest one, I think is fun and like it's different. Also 2 turf fields, which is interesting too. But yeah, El Tráfico.
Okay. I mean, like right here, right now, if there was one game, like I think El Tráfico wins it. But then if you consider, you consider the historical context, obviously that's a very new rivalry.
I love me some Toronto and NYCFC in the playoffs though. They always manage some pretty good drama as well.
Fair enough. I was looking through because I posted a story about this, and according to the fans on my story, it was 58% said Sounders Timbers and 42% said El Tráfico. Bones says you guys are dumb. Not me. That's Bones. All right.
Paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing. Quickly on the Champions League front. First of all, wow. City, like, when's the last time Bayern took an ass whooping like that? I can't really. They have like this history of handing out these ass whoopings to teams left and right, mostly Arsenal. But like it feels that I guess maybe we should have seen that coming because City can do that to anybody, but that was one that I was surprised by. Now going forward, we got so this is the sharp end of the stick too. So this is the second leg. We got Napoli heading home against Milan, down 1-0. We got Chelsea heading home against Real Madrid, down 0-2. Inter heading home up 2-0 on Benfica, and Bayern heading home against City, down 3-0. So the one game that I'm actually most interested in, because I think I'm pretty confident that Napoli's going to overturn that against Milan. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I think Benfica has a real chance to overturn it at Inter. I like this Benfica team. I know that they kind of got manhandled the first leg, but this Benfica team, I don't think you can hold them off the scoreboard for 2 games in a row. I think I like Benfica to overturn that and move on. That'd be my sort of surprise upset of the match day, and also the game I'm sort of most interested in Tyler, what do you think here?
I like the Napoli shout. I don't think that that's all that hot of a take. I think a lot of people had Napoli, but I don't know about the Benfica over Inter.
You don't like
I
it?
think they have a I think they have a chance, obviously, but I'm,
I like
I'm
it.
rolling with I'm rolling with Big Rome.
Okay. All right. Tommy, what are you most interested in?
Napoli, Milan.
It's fair. Bones?
Yeah, same for me. If if Bayern was in a deficit with any other team that's left except for Real Madrid, I'd take them to overturn it, but I don't think they can. And I don't think Chelsea have a shot either. So yeah, for me, it's that Italian matchup.
Should be some interesting games. And then finally, rest of world, we'll wrap up with USA versus Mexico. And I gotta say, in terms of like level of excitement, I can't really remember being this unexcited about a US Mexico game. I mean, like, I know that when the game starts, I'm going to be into it. I'm rewatching it. I'm going to want to win. If we lose, I'm just going to say, yeah, this game, it was a practice game. Doesn't matter. If we win, I'm going to be dropping the danglies left and right. I'm going to be all about it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? What do you guys think? Like, Bones, you go first. What do you think of this? Are you
Bench
excited?
bubbles. No, I feel like in world football, we have a tendency to just like create these events now. It's like there's not really much on the line for me in terms of it. There's nothing riding on it. If you look at the roster, it's a healthy mix of some guys that deserve opportunities based on recent performance, and some guys that have been hanging around for a while. So from that perspective, for me, it's just kind of, I'll watch it, obviously. But in terms of the outcome, what it means, don't think it means much.
Yeah, I mean, anytime US plays Mexico, I'll be into it. I mean, I will watch it. I'll be interested, and I'll be excited if we win, and I'll completely, as I said, I'll just completely dismiss it if we lose. But it just stinks. It's not an international window, so the only European player that got called in was Serginho Dest, and it's just I don't know. It doesn't feel quite like a normal US Mexico game. Tommy, so what are your thoughts on this game?
I think you guys are spot on. Um, I think it's going to be cool to see guys that deserve a call up that has a little bit more meaning than some other like all domestic call ups. And you get to play Mexico, so I think like guys deserve that chance to play a competitive game against a rival. So that's about kind of the peak of my excitement for it. But to be quite honest, it's way past my bedtime. I'm not gonna be able to stay up for that one. So
What time is kickoff? Is it that late?
it's like 10 or 10:30.
Oh,
I don't
geez.
know. They always say it's like 10 and then like
You're
10,
right. It's 10:22 Eastern.
10:45 rolls around. Yeah, I'll be asleep before anyone gets on TV. So
I didn't know it was so late. That's almost, I mean, that's like half the country isn't even going to be watching. They're not even going to be awake then. That kind of stinks too. It adds another layer of kind of mehness to it. Well, shout out to all the Sam fans that on the team. Dest, Aaron Long, Julian Gressel, Zimmerman, James Sands was called in. So congrats to those guys. I'm happy for all the guys that got called in, and some of the young guys were cool to see on the roster. Aiden Morris, I think, was one that comes to mind. Caleb Wiley, Josh Winder. So there's interesting names out there. Tyler, anything else before we wrap up here?
You guys nailed it.
Okay.
I mean, this is just an excuse for both federations to say that they gave some younger and non-participating fringe players an opportunity to play against a rival.
And make some money.
Yep.
Make some money. There's always that. Actually, Matt Miazga, another Sam fan. I didn't mention him. So glad he got called in, by the way. I know there's a lot of sort of talk about him, how long he was out in the wilderness. So congrats to him for getting the call up. All right, let's go to stoppage time, put a bow on this episode. So we will start with Ivan Toney's best bets. Who wants to lead us off? Anybody feeling particularly frisky?
I'm making mine right now. Stand by. I'm in the lab.
Bones, you got anything to throw at us?
I had one just a second ago. I was thinking about this and then I forgot. So I'm gonna need a second.
Okay.
I have one.
All right, Tommy, what do you got for us?
So I don't know if the odds are any good at all, but Brighton to beat United in FA Cup semifinal. And
Okay.
I did Brighton last week for my best bet. They're besides Arsenal. Obviously, I'm biased. My favorite team to watch in the Prem. I think they could put on a showing against Man United, who are missing a ton of players right now, and it would be sweet for them to be pushing for Europe and be in an FA Cup final.
Yeah, one thing we didn't get to because I skipped power rankings was the fact that United is now Lissandro Martinez is done for the season, I believe, with a broken foot, and Varane's out for a couple weeks. So they're kind of walking wounded at this point. And it's a good shout about Brighton. Like they just, first of all, they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
So they're not just like pull this because Burnley, didn't they finish like 7th in the Premier League a few years ago, just playing absolutely despicable soccer. Like Brighton isn't doing that. Like they are out there playing, and it's fun to watch. And Tottenham needs to just steal every single front office person that they have, and hopefully we can get a little of that magic. By the way, Arsenal overs. Somebody was pointing this out. Arsenal overs have been absolutely killing it lately. You guys gotta work on your defense there, Toby. Bones, what do you got for us?
I'm looking at some MLS games, and there's a lot. I think there's a lot of overs. LAFC Nashville over, Galaxy Austin over, Cincinnati Portland over. Just like parlay a bunch of MLS overs with some teams that score a lot of goals.
LAFC Nashville over. You like the two best defenses in the league, especially Nashville coming off of a loss.
Yes.
Over?
Yeah.
No, I love it. You're gonna get good odds on that.
It's hard to like rank how good defenses are like 5, 6, 7 games into the season. I don't think that like some teams maybe have had softer schedules. But I think
you and I can both agree based on principles and proof of concept that Nashville and LAFC are two very good defensive teams.
Yeah, and also two good offensive teams.
I was gonna say, who's gonna stop LAFC's offense right now?
Not Nashville.
It's a matter of stopping Bouanga. It's not really a matter of stopping an attack. 1 minute.
Hey, Vela had a very Vela from the corner of the
lucky goal. That deflection was wild. That ended up bouncing to him. Like literally worst possible spot, worst possible person that it bounced to.
That's true. The deflection was very much luck. But if Vela gets the ball on the 18 right there, like it's over. The guy just puts it inside netting every single time.
On an angle like that on the right hand side.
Yeah, done. Okay. I love this. Listen, I love the overshout, Bones. I'm glad you're on the same track as me. Tommy, you got Brighton. By the way, they're plus 135 against United. So that's a nice little plus money. Bet. Tyler, what do you got for us?
I got a Premier League parlay for you. I like a draw between Fulham and Leeds at the Cottage. Parlay that with a draw between Brentford and Villa at Brentford. Plus 1039.
Okay. I love your ridiculous parlays. They're beautiful. They never win, but one of these times they will.
I don't think that's not true. I won the other week.
Tyler, just so you know, the line on that is 2.5.
Oh, I take the under in that game.
Yeah.
If we weren't breaking all sorts of rules, I'd bet against you straight up.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. But we'll do a friendly Sam's Army wager. Put Sam's Army name on it.
Like it.
Fine. I have to. I'll grow out a stash for a month.
There we go. I like that.
There we go. All right, mine. I'm sticking with the overs. They are treating me well. I'm looking across the globe. I'm doing the research. I'm doing the legwork for you guys. I found the 3 games that you absolutely need to bet on the over for. So, and I'm going to give you one for each day: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Mazatlan and Monterrey, over City, no problem. Saturday, Newcastle Jets, Central Coast Mariners in the A League, easy money, light work, no problem. And then Sunday, PSV Ajax. Boom. Those 3 overs. Thank me later. Buy me a drink when you see me, and we can laugh about it. All right. Now we are ready to finish the episode. Well, this segment of the episode on a high with everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. Anybody want to lead us off on this one? Anybody got one ready to go?
Yeah, I got one.
All right, Tommy, what you got for us?
I don't know how to physically show you guys this. There's a video right now of the fans for the Standard Liège Sporting Charleroi game. It's, I guess, some rivalry. I don't know what city or like region it is, but the fans for both teams, when they do the like pre-game panorama, is ridiculous. Like the one section looks like it's just completely on fire, and then the other section looks like it's just in like perfect unison with color and like some sort of where everyone holds like the individual paper up to form some sort of tifo or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty well done by both sides.
All right, that's the Belgian league, I think.
Yeah, Belgian league.
Pop quiz myself on geography there. Bones, you got anybody for us?
Yeah, I'm going with mothers around the world. After the Hakimi giving all of his money to his mom, I feel like a lot of people are going to start following suit with that. People make a lot of money, start funneling it through their mothers, their families, so they can keep it in case of a crisis.
In case of a crisis. Okay, interesting phrasing there. Yeah, again, I'm not an accountant or like a marital lawyer, but I got some questions about the financial soundness of that situation. But I like the shout out. And listen, mothers deserve love anyway, so why not give them some money on top of it?
That's right.
All right, Tyler, what do you got for us?
It's gonna sound corny and cheesy, but that's usually my bag on these. But St. Louis fans, I mean, for there to be a 2.5 hour weather delay, and now when I say they're the go of the week, like, you also need to understand something. At least this is what I gathered from my time at the Cards game. The people of St. Louis enjoy their alcohol. They do. There's like 2 or 3 bars that are like perfect, down to earth, like amazing pubs for soccer fans that are within stumbling distance of City Park. So they weren't exactly doing the Lord's work in just basically huddling in place while there were tornado warnings coming through St. Louis for those 2.5 hours before kickoff. But they still showed up and showed out, and the atmosphere was amazing. Like we were worried that it was really going to deter people away, but it still basically was a sellout. I mean, it was a sellout, just not everybody showed up.
Were people able to leave the stadium and come back, or were these people that I don't know what the timing of
the tornado warning actually came in so quickly that the people who were inside had to be undercover and had to be in some sort of, like, there were security guards for the entirety of the 2.5 hours yelling at people because they were like wandering around the parts of the stadium where there wasn't cover, and they just simply weren't allowed to do that. So like they were literally like, it was like serious lockdown mode, and people needed to be inside. It was scary for a bit.
But could they go to the bar?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's that huge glass Ultra Club, the Michelob Ultra Club, on the south end of the stadium, which is great. But they were just people packed in there like sardines. They weren't allowed to leave.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep it in the same sort of theme here and give it to fans as well. I'm going to give it to the fans of Angers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. My French is not great, but the fans of Angers, Angers was playing Clermont Foot, excuse me. This is Ligue 1, Uber Eats Ligue 1, Mikey's favorite league. So Angers was playing Clermont Foot, and they were up 1-0 at the time. They conceded a penalty, and the guy who was going up to take the penalty, all the fans that were behind the goal turned around and pulled their pants down and booed the guy as he was taking the penalty. Now, he did make it, and Clermont Foot did go on to win, but I still thought that was a brilliant attempt at throwing him off his game. And maybe other teams have done that elsewhere. I've never seen it before, so I thought it was, unique and sort of next level shithousery. And even though it wasn't a success on the scoreboard, they won in my heart. So shout out to Angers FC fans for that move. I loved it. And there we go. That's the episode, half of the episode anyway. Thank you to Alex Bono. Thank you, Tommy McCabe. Thank you, Tyler Terrence. You guys are fantastic. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and everybody else. Thank you for listening. We're not done. Time to throw it to the interview with the Dorking Wanderers.